I used to believe that actually the only books safe for me to read were the ones that had an imprimatur given by a Catholic author, a Catholic scholar, a Catholic expert. But Oscar Cullmann, was not a Catholic. He was a Protestant. And I was amazed that a Protestant could discover this and to tell his story, if you want, so forthrightly. As a matter of fact, Cullmann said this particular book of his caused more stir than all of his other books put together. People were not happy that Cullmann was challenging the views of Socrates that had found their way within Christianity. They were not happy at all. They thought that Jesus espoused these views as his own personal point of view. Did anyone really go on to investigate this? It seems not. Did the Catholic Church, who must have been actually aware of this writing of Oscar Cullmann in 1955, did they actually create a team of experts in order to look into the question? No way. They thought they had it right. Protestants had nothing to teach them. Protestants had nothing to teach them. But I saw that this was actually a highly prejudicial and biased point of view. Oscar Cullmann had discovered something that all the best Jesuit theologians in the Vatican didn't know about. Were they going to do something about it? Let's wait and see. Going ahead now, let's go to 1999, before the great millennium change of 2000. Here's a Jesuit, Stanley B. Morrow. He wrote an article that actually explores the question of the immortal soul, the same thing that Oscar Cullmann did in 1955, but this is now 45 years later. And now he says that the Socratic point of view was not the point of view of the Gospels or of the New Testament in its entirety. When you look at the Hebrew Scriptures, all of the early books have nothing to do with the immortal soul. Nothing. In the Book of Wisdom, one gets 7 references to immortality and a beginning of Hellenistic or Greek influence on that particular volume. But the overwhelming judgment of both the Hebrew and the Christian scriptures is that there is no such thing as an immortal soul. Doesn't exist. No way. Doesn't exist. And this is 1999. Now, when a Jesuit writes an article like that, you would think that a lot of Jesuits would gather together and, hey, oh boy, this is an important issue. We need to actually go and look into this very carefully. If Morrow is correct, we have to change the catechisms. We have to change the way we present Jesus. We have to even change our notion of what happens to us when we die. Like I say, Catholics thought routinely that when they die, they do not die because their soul continues healthy and alive and either goes to heaven or to hell or to purgatory. That's what they thought. But guess what? If there is no soul, there's nothing to continue. Nothing to hold on to. The breathing stops. The way the breathing stopped for my father. The way the breathing stopped for my cat. When the breathing stops, life is not only discontinued. For me, for my father, and for my cats, it is the end. Oh boy, this is a hard pill to swallow. A very hard pill to swallow. And I'm going to challenge you, my hearers, to consider actually the evidence that I have brought forward. First of all, in 1955, the Cullmann lecture and book, the Jesuit article of 1999. Speaking personally, I used to believe that I had an immortal soul. I trusted actually the Baltimore Catechism, and I trusted actually my teachers. They all believed in the immortal soul, as far as I was aware. But my contact with Oscar Cullmann, and later with Morrow, Father Morrow, the Jesuit, showed me that this issue has never been fairly tested and tried. I have spent nearly 10 years looking into this question. At first I got fascinated with near-death experiences, but I gradually lost my interest in near-death experiences when I discovered that in India, guess what? Lord Krishna showed up in their near-death experiences. Lord Vishnu showed up. Jesus never showed up. So there was something culturally defined in near-death experiences. How about the issue of Alzheimer's disease? If the soul is so powerful that it actually retains the life and the experience of the individual, why cannot the soul overcome the onset of Alzheimer's disease? Well, how does it show up? The person who is being the victim loses a memory of some of the important events of their life. Their friends and their spouses have to remind them that these things even took place. They get lost when even walking around the block, they don't know how to get home again. They lose their ability to put their shoes on correctly, to dress themselves. As a matter of fact, at the end, they don't even remember the face of their spouses and of their own children. Those are the ravages of Alzheimer's disease. If the soul is immortal, if the soul can resist these changes and supply what is needed, this would never have happened. Therefore, I conclude that the Alzheimer's disease indicates with great clarity the medical necessity of completely cutting oneself off from any notion of a natural immortality. But even more than that, I don't like to be fooled. I don't like to be lied to. But guess what? My teachers fooled me and lied to me. They told me that this life is very short, maybe 80 years, 90 years max. But guess what? Your future life is going to extend 90 trillion years. Oh my gosh, take that in, 90 million years. How about 90 trillion years? You know, it makes this life look not important, small stuff. The big potatoes are coming in the future. The future, what's the future look like? Being in heaven, playing with the angels, having discussions, theological discussions with the angels and the saints. Wait a second here. What theological discussions go on in heaven? None. Because there is no immortal soul. This is where I have come. I actually wrote an essay, and I'm going to give you the address for this essay, on why I do not believe in my immortal soul, just to see what personal aspects I bring to this question. My mother was perhaps the most loving and dear person in my whole life. She died when I was only 8. Do you not think that my uncles and aunts told me that I would someday see her in heaven? It was a lie. It was a lie. They thought it was right, but because they were influenced by the Socratic thinking. No. When I breathe my last breath, I'll be just like Jesus, just like my father, just like my cat. Once I have the last last breath, when I have my last breath, I will be no more. That's the end of the story. Very challenging. I have my answer. You have your answer. I'd like to hear what your answer is. Put it in the comments. Thank you very much. Okay, I am keenly aware that my message has caused great distress for some, and for others, they want to know more in order to actually begin to take action within their local church. I have prepared a study guide that actually takes the lesson that you just heard and actually details all of my sources and the complete logic and biblical tradition that I am following. This will provide you from the sources that you need. I have prepared a link at the bottom of this page, which will actually take you there and give you an opportunity not only to study this, but actually to enter into dialogue with other people who are concerned about this issue. Thank you very much. God bless you.